Today's interview is with Brennan Evans. Brennan has had a really solid career, starting with Camrose Kodiaks of the AJHL, then Seattle Thunderbirds and Kootenay Ice of the WHL, 2 playoff games with the Calgary Flames of the NHL, and played with 8 different teams in the AHL: Lowell Log Monsters, Binghamton Senators, Worcester Sharks, Iowa Chops, Toronto Marlies, Peoria Rivermen, Grand Rapids Griffins, and Texas Stars. Then closed out your career playing with Lacombe Generals of the ACHL. So I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel, Enjoy the Grind with Jace Boman, where I interview hockey players and get a chance to hear great stories and see where their past led them. For all of you watching, please like the video and subscribe. So we're going to dive right into the questions. So after looking up your stats and watching some hockey videos on YouTube, you were a rough old-time hockey defenseman. When you were younger, what made you choose to become a defenseman?
It's a good question, man. It was a long time ago. Boy, I know that my dad was always a forward playing hockey, and he drove him nuts that I wanted to be a defenseman. But I think, to be honest with you, I knew that there was a little bit less skating as a defenseman. I loved to play, but boy, it sure was a lot of skating as a forward up and down those wings. So I think maybe that's why I decided to be a defenseman.
Do you consider yourself a stay-at-home defenseman?
Yeah, oh yeah, I think that I've been a stay-at-home defenseman ever since I was your age. Maybe Pee Wee was my best year, and then since then I've definitely been a stay-at-home defenseman. You know, as you start playing more and you start playing professional, you have to kind of find your role on your team, and that was just a role that I thought might take me the furthest in hockey, so that's the one that I kind of went for.
Who do you find the hardest players to defend? The small, quick, shifty player, or the big, strong power forward type?
Well, for me, that was the small guys for sure. I usually didn't have a whole lot of problems defending, bigger, stronger guys, because that was kind of how I was. But the small, quick guys who would kind of turn around and do tight turns and loop-de-loos and all the rest of it, those were the hard guys for me.
The game of hockey has changed so much over the years. To play at such a high level as long as you did you have to change your game at all to stay in the AHL?
I don't think that I changed my game necessarily. I think that as I got older and older, there's like a saying in the American Hockey League that you go from a prospect being suspect. So, you're a prospect possibly going to the NHL for a long time, and then you become a bit of a leader as a mentor. So if you're willing to stay there and play it, and knowing that mainly your role is to help younger guys go into the NHL, where I knew that my chance of playing the NHL was probably a lot less in the last 5 or 6 or 7 years than it was at the beginning. So I don't know if I necessarily changed the way I played, but I maybe changed, maybe like the way I thought about it and kind of my mindset going into it.
I searched you up on YouTube, and wow, you have had a lot of fights on there. Do you like fighting?
I like winning fights for sure. Losing fights isn't always fun, but you talk about being a stay-at-home defenseman. You can't usually play at a high level just being a stay-at-home defenseman. You've got to have other things that the coaches like or coaches see. So having fights and sticking up for my teammates was something that I knew I had to do if I wanted to play a professional and play for a while. So that's kind of why I had to start doing that a little bit more.
So including to that, you fought a lot of tough guys. Some of the players I recognize from the NHL that I've seen you fight were Ryan Reeves, Brian Boyle, Matt Greens, Andrew Shaw, Wade Brookbank, and Cody Bass. Do you have any guys that you are excited to say that you had the chance to fight him?
Well, Reeves is probably the most well-known guy, and luckily enough, I think it was his rookie year, or maybe his second year when I fought him, and then we ended up actually playing together for a couple of years, so we became pretty good friends. But if there's any other guys, there's a lot of guys that are in the American League like myself that are really tough, that don't necessarily play in the NHL. There's a guy, his name Francis Lassard was his name. He played in the NHL for maybe 100 games, and he was fairly tough. He was left-handed, so those guys are not always that fun to fight. Mike Hoffman was another guy who was really tough in the minors. But I think those probably the two guys that maybe you haven't heard of that were very tough. I fought before. DJ King is another name. I don't remember who DJ King was. He was a tough guy in the NHL for a while. Fought him once in junior, but yeah, probably those two guys.
Nice. So who do you think was one of the toughest guys you ever fought?
The toughest guys I had to fight? Well, maybe he wasn't the toughest guy, but my last year of junior, I fought a guy named Logan Stevenson, and he was younger than I was, and he knocked me out, and like I had to spend the night in the hospital. Like he knocked me out, legitimately knocked me out. So that was probably the worst beating that I ever took, maybe. And I actually ended up playing with him too. So yeah, I don't know if he was the toughest guy, but he gave me the biggest beating for sure.
Okay, so switching things up, let's talk about some of your achievements. So can you describe the experience in 2001-2002 playing with the Kootenay Ice, winning the President Cup, and going on to winning the Memorial Cup?
Yeah, that's something that I even today, you talk about it, I get a feeling and I can remember certain things about it just instantly, and it was one of the best things I've ever done in hockey. Anytime you are fortunate enough to win a championship is one thing, but then, they talk about the Memorial Cup being one of the hardest trophies to win because you only have 4 years to win it, right? Or 4, maybe 5 years, because that's as long as you can play for. It was awesome. It was, I still talk to a lot of those guys. The biggest thing was I think I made, friendships that I even still, how long it was, 20, 30 years ago, or maybe 20 years ago, that I'm still friends with those guys.
I see you had to also beat Cam Ward and Dion Phaneuf at the Red Deer Rebels to win the cup. At least you got to play with Cam in Loyal Locked Monsters in 04-05.
Yeah, I actually became friends with Cam because he's from Sherwood Park. We get a pretty good mutual friend. And with that year with Lowell, I played with him. We lived right beside him, so we became pretty good friends. And then actually, Dion was obviously with the Flames for a long time when I was there, so we became, I knew Dion a little bit, so it was cool to know those guys after we played him in that series.
Did you score the game-winning goal to win the cup?
That was in Grand Rapids when we won the Calder Cup. I scored the game winner for that one, not the Memorial Cup, but for the Calder Cup. Yeah.
Nice. So what made you decide to go to the WHL route? Did you have any offers to play with any universities?
I had a couple offers from 2 or 3. Colorado College, I think, was one. There was 2 or 3 other schools that I talked to. But honestly, when I was going through the whole process, it was so long ago that it was before college hockey in the States was really that popular. Like now there's, if I was to have to make the decision now, it'd be a lot harder, knowing how good the hockey is and kind of knowing how well you set yourself up with the college thing. I'd always wanted to play in the Western League, being from, I was born in Saskatchewan, grew up in Alberta, so I was very familiar with the Western Hockey League, and that was kind of always where I wanted to go. But yeah, I had a couple of offers for schools in the States.
So you went right from the WHL to playing in the Stanley Cup playoffs for Calgary Flames in 2003-2004. That was the year the Flames went all the way to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals, only to lose to Tampa Bay Lightning. So wow, that must have been awesome. What games did you play in, and against who?
Well, actually, so after my last year of junior, I went and played for a full year in the American Hockey League in Lowell, and then I went and played for the Flames after that year. The stats, I know what you're talking about. The stats are a little bit, they look kind of weird on there, but it was games 3 and 4 against Detroit in Calgary. So, when that year with the Wings, they had Brett Hall, Steve Yzerman, Lidstrom, Datsuk, Zetterberg. Like they had Osgood. Like they had a all-star team. It was crazy. I remember sitting there in warm-ups and looking over at these guys skating around, and it was so crazy. see these guys. And your dad probably remembers more than you do, but Calgary at the time was just wild because of the run and how well the team was doing. The city was amazing, and I actually spent a lot of time with Mike Commodore, so we became friends and hung out a lot with him during that whole time. And he was pretty popular because of his afro and everything else. So it was one of the craziest, most memorable times of my life with hockey for sure.
My mom right before this actually said that she was also there at
Oh really?
I guess like the Red Mill or something.
The Red Mile, yeah.
And she said it was crazy.
Yeah, it was for sure. There was, because after every game, people would be out having a good time, celebrating, partying. So that Red Mile, yeah, it was a fun time for sure.
So did you get to practice with the Flames throughout the entire playoffs?
Yeah. So the way it works is, or the way the Flames did it, so you've got guys that stay with the team throughout the playoffs. They're called the Black Aces, and so you travel with the team, you practice with the team, you do everything with the team aside from play the games. I think there was 5 or 6 of us that went around with the team, and so we went. We were in Detroit, Vancouver, Tampa Bay. We went into all these places with the team, and just too bad we just missed it at the end there. But yeah, it was really fun to be part of.
Would you have gotten a ring if they won?
Yeah, I would have got a ring. Well, my name would not have went on the cup, but I would have got a ring. Yeah.
What was it like, and were the games just absolutely crazy, and the fans just going nuts?
Yeah, the fans. You know what? And I talked about remembering being out there for warm-ups in that first game, and the whole rink, the Saddledome was sold out in warm-up. Like the fans it was packed just for warm-ups, and the atmosphere was nothing you'll ever like. It's very rare to feel something like that and to be actually on the ice. I still kind of get chills. I get goosebumps even thinking about it now. But yeah, the atmosphere and the whole city was crazy for that 2-month stretch.
Did you ever almost get that opportunity again to play in the NHL?
I don't know. It's tough to know if you ever got the opportunity. Like, who knows? When teams decide if they're going to call one guy up or another. I don't. I went to lots of NHL camps, but I never. Yeah, no, that was the last time that I ever got to play there. But that was. No, I don't know. No other opportunities.
What camps did you go to?
Well, so every time you play in the minors for a team, you would go to their NHL camp. Like most of these years, so I played pro for 13 years. I think I had an NHL contract for 10 of them. So I would go to all those camps. So it was, Calgary, Ottawa, San Jose, Anaheim, Detroit, Texas. I went to all the NHL camps for those teams those years.
Nice. So in 2012-2013, you won the AHL Calder Cup with the Grand Rapids Griffins. What was winning that championship like?
Well, that one is extra special, because you mentioned before, I was lucky enough to score the game-winning goal. Now, that season, like you said, I'm a stay-at-home defenseman, so I don't get a whole lot of points. That season, I didn't score a single goal all year. 70 games or something, I didn't score a single goal. And then I actually scored 2 goals in the playoffs. One in Game 7 of the conference finals, and then the game winner in Game 7. So, it's kind of funny how it all works out. I don't score it all during the year, and I get the game winners. But yeah, it's something I'll remember for a long time.
And on that team, you were also played with Gustav Nyquist and Thomas Tatar.
Yeah, they were really good. Gus. So the way it works in the American Hockey League is, we had our team, and the Red Wings were still playing, and the Red Wings were in the playoffs against someone, I forget who they were with, but they lost out, so they were able to send us, I think it was 3 or 4 players came down from the Red Wings to play with us, because they played with us enough throughout the year. So we got Nyquist and Danny DeKaiser and Joachim Anderson and one other person, I think. They all came down in the conference finals. So it was an incredible, it was a really big boost for us and ultimately, led to us winning the whole thing. But yeah, those two guys were amazing for us. Peter Mrazek, the goalie, I think he's in Carolina again. He was our goalie. He was really, really good. Luke Glendening, he's played with the Wings for a long time. So yeah, so that's, we were able to have that kind of success because we had those good players.
So you played for a lot of teams. Out of all the teams you played for, what team did you enjoy playing on the most?
Well, I'd probably say Grand Rapids because anytime you have that kind of success, it's always makes it a lot funner. And we had, the core of our team was there for most of the 3 years I was there. We had a really good coach, Jeff Blashill. He's the coach in Detroit still. And the city of Grand Rapids is actually, I didn't think it going there, but it was awesome. Of all the cities I played in, that was probably one of the best just because of the atmosphere and the city and the people there were great.
So, do you have a coach that you can say that you like to play for the most or that taught you the most?
Yeah, again, I'll probably say Jeff Blashill, because, he was really good to me, and he was really good to the older guys, and he was an incredibly smart guy. What did he teach me? I don't know. By that point, there wasn't a whole lot of teaching going on for me. A guy that taught me a lot in the American Hockey League was Roy Sumner. He was with San Jose. He was kind of the guy that gave me a really good opportunity in the American Hockey League to play. So I'd say Roy Sumner, and Blashill.
What team did you play on that had the most exciting fans?
Most exciting fans. I'd probably say Grand Rapids again because the rink in Grand Rapids is like perfect for the American Hockey League. It holds 10,000 people. They always got really good fans. And then again, when you go into the playoffs and you have a lot of success, the rink and the building gets really fun to be in.
Do you have a favorite city that you like to live in?
Well, other than Grand Rapids, I lived in Toronto for a year playing for the Marlies. That was a lot of fun. And we lived in Austin, Texas, last year, and Austin was a great place. So I would say either Toronto or Austin.
Hey, do you still follow any of your old teams?
Yeah, I follow the Wings pretty close, mainly because of Blash and because there's still a handful of guys that I played with on my team. And then obviously because I live in Edmonton, so I follow the Oilers. I've actually got a couple of friends that are at camp right now with the Oilers trying out for the team, so hopefully they can stick around for a while so I can be a little more invested.
Was that probably hard going to Calgary and putting on the Calgary jersey, but your favorite team is the Oilers?
Well, I don't know if my favorite team would have been the Oilers growing up because I grew up a lot in Saskatchewan and Alberta. So I liked the Red Wings for a while. I liked the Kings because of Gretzky. I liked the Habs for a little while. I didn't really have like one set favorite team. And then to play with the Flames, I don't think I would have cared what color jersey it was to play in the NHL.
Who were your friends in camp?
Adam Cracknell. So he's with the Oilers right now. I know Devin Shore. He's there. I played with him for a while. They're just two guys that, like I said, hopefully they can stick around. And, so it gives me more reason to follow the Oilers.
If you could steal any player scale, what would it be from here?
Well, that's a good question. I would probably say Patrick Kane. Like, if you talk about skill, man, that guy has the craziest hands and makes some wild plays. So I'd say Patrick Kane.
And what was your favorite hockey team growing up? And do you have a favorite memory of that team?
Like I said, I don't know if I have I remember when the Canadians beat the Calgary Flames for the Stanley Cup long time ago. Like maybe that was maybe '89. I was pretty young, but for some reason have a pretty vivid memory of that because I bet my uncle or someone money on it, and so I won $1 off my uncle when they won. So I would say probably watching the Habs win the Stanley Cup back then.
If you could compare your game to someone in the NHL, who would it be?
Well, growing up, my favorite defenseman was Scott Stevens. I loved how, man, he used to fill those big hits, and I used to absolutely love them. I don't think you're allowed to really hit like that anymore, like he used to. But when I was young, Scott Stevens for sure was my favorite player.
Do you have a favorite hockey brand, like such as Bauer, Warriors, CCM, that sorts?
I probably CCM. In the American Hockey League, most guys have to use CCM, so that's what I've always used, and that's my skates and gloves and stick and helmet, everything CCM. So I say CCM.
I'm a CCM guy as well. I have like everything CCM.
Awesome.
And I have like the new FT3 and like everything.
Oh, awesome. Sweet.
So do you have a favorite stick?
A favorite stick? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I haven't played in a while because of COVID, all of our beer league stuff is shut down, so I haven't played. So I would say my favorite stick ever maybe was the Easton Synergy. I don't know if you remember those ones a long time ago. They were like the first mass one-piece stick that came out. They came out when I was playing junior, and because I was an overage, I got one-piece stick. So I would say that Synergy, Easton Synergy.
Nice. What is your pregame meal?
Pre-game meal, chicken and pasta. Big plate of pasta and a couple of chicken breasts. Just enough to put you to sleep for that pregame nap and then get up and be ready to rock and roll.
That's what a lot of people that I've interviewed already said. I think
Chicken and pasta, they say?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's yours?
Mine, like usually if we're kind of in like a little rush, usually like a peanut butter jam sandwich.
Oh, nice.
And like a protein shake.
All right, there you go. And it works? You feel good when you're playing?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Gets me kind of boosted sometimes.
Nice.
Do you cook or would you rather someone cook for you?
Oh, I'd rather have someone cook for me. I'd rather have my wife cooking for sure. I can and I will, but I'd rather have my wife. I just started hunting, so I'm experimenting with cooking up wild game. So she cooks everything else, and when I cook, it's either deer, bear, elk, or something like that.
Do you have a favorite pump up or warm up song?
Anything Metallica, probably. I would say maybe you could say Enter Sandman, but anything. 99% of Metallica songs get me pretty fired up when I'm lifting weights or doing whatever.
So hockey is a game of nicknames. Do you have any good nicknames?
You know what? When I saw your questions, I thought that, and usually it was Evs or Evie, or people never got too creative with me. It was Sheriff a little bit my last year at Texas, but it was mainly Evs.
So you play with some of the best players in the world. Who was the best player you ever played with?
I would probably say the best player I ever played with was Bobby Ryan. He was with us in. I would say Bobby Ryan. I played with him in Iowa. He was really, really good. And then I actually lived with Joe Pavelski for a while too. He was the same thing. He was with us in Worcester when I was with the Sharks for like 20 games or 15 games, and he had a bunch of points. And he was just one of those guys that you could see that he was way too good to be in the American Hockey League, and you see it now. He's still a really good player in the NHL. So I'd probably see Bobby Ryan or Joe Pavelski be the best two guys I played with.
We were at an Oilers game like last year, and we were just like, I was like, me and my family were just like full out Oilers stuff, and
Yeah.
we're right behind the Sharks bench, and then like some of the like on the stick, like do you know like where it says like say like Bauer like Warrior or something?
Oh yeah.
Some of that just got peeled off.
Yep.
And the person, he's like, you guys want this broken stick? It's Joe Pavelski's. Then we're like, sure.
Oh,
So
sweet.
now in my room I have Joe Pavelski's stick.
Oh, awesome.
So that's something that I'll probably always remember or something.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You know what? I bet if you could have caught Pav, he would have signed it for it. He's like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. He's super nice. Yeah, that's awesome that you got his stick because he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, I was really like happy when I got it and everything.
Yeah, I bet.
But sadly, the Oilers lost. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they don't lose too many games this year. Are you an Oilers fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Me too. Okay. Well, hopefully they do better this year.
I hope so too. So who's the best player you ever played against?
Well, all those, like I said before, I went to all those NHL camps, and usually most guys will get it and play some exhibition games. So my first year or my second year with Detroit at their camp, I played an exhibition game in Pittsburgh and played against Crosby. And I actually played against him when I was in Ottawa in an exhibition game too. So I played against Crosby twice in exhibition games. So I would probably safe bet to say he's the best player I played against.
Was he hard to defend?
Yeah, he was because it's so early. The exhibition games, they just kind of put whoever out there. So I was out there against him, quite a bit, and I remember he made this one crazy pass across, like backhand pass across ice, and he did, like I was watching him the whole time. He didn't even look anywhere in that direction, and he threw like a backhand sauce pass across the ice and it landed right on this other guy's stick, and I didn't even know the guy was there. And it was, it's kind of a eye opener to say, oh, this, drives the point home how good they are, and how good he is, especially.
Was there ever a player in the AHL that you thought should have had a chance in the NHL but never got that tap on the shoulder?
Yeah, me. Who else was good in American hockey? I played with a couple guys. Graham Mink is a guy that was really good in American hockey. And, maybe would play one or two games but could never stick. Who else? Keith Aucoin was another guy. He was a smaller guy, but like he would get 100 points a year. Like he was really, really good, but just couldn't for whatever reason couldn't stick in the NHL. So maybe Graham Mink or Keith Aucoin would be my two answers for that. Other than me, I guess.
Did you ever have any offers to play in the KHL or Europe?
Not the KHL, but my last year when I went to Austin, I almost signed with a team in Finland, and we were like, honestly, it was the morning of. I was about to call this team in Finland and say, yeah, we're going to come over and play. But that morning, the general manager of the Texas Stars called and said, yeah, maybe you kind of expressed interest. So then we ended up going down there because Austin was great, and like Texas is probably one of the best places to play. And it was so fun. So but yeah, we had one opportunity in Finland, and then actually after I retired and I was playing my first year, I played for the Generals. I had an old coach that was coaching over in Germany, and he called me around Christmas that year and asked me if I wanted to come play, but I said no.
Is there a time that you had to make a big decision in your hockey career, and what was it?
I think that, well, for me it was retiring. I was able to play for a long time, but never got to play in the NHL like I wanted. But as you get older, I got married and I had a couple of kids that we were hauling around. We drove all the way down to Texas. So probably the biggest one was deciding to retire. It was a pretty big, important decision we made.
And do you think that was the right decision?
Oh yeah, for sure. You have to retire at some point, right? Now it's kind of what my idea was, like I can't play forever, so I figured that I didn't have a great year. I wasn't really having fun. I didn't enjoy the last year as much as I had in the past, so better to kind of go out when I wanted to as opposed to just not having anywhere to go and not having an opportunity. So that's kind of why we did it.
Do you have a favorite hockey memory that stands out to you?
Well, I think we've kind of talked about them. The big ones, winning the Memorial Cup or the Calder Cup, playing with the Flames in the playoffs. But another thing that comes to mind is I was playing in Peoria, and like we talked about before, I'm a stay-at-home defenseman, but somehow or another, I managed to score a hat trick in the game in the American Hockey League, and those were my only 3 goals all year. Like I played 70 games. And I had a hat trick, and those were the only goals I scored all year. It was a Wednesday night in Peoria, and that's something that stands out. I've got a cool picture of me celebrating after my 3rd goal, and there's like 4 or 5 hats on the ice. There isn't really anybody in the stands because it wasn't a very busy game, but you could see the bench of my team, and everybody's throwing their hands up like we just won the Stanley Cup because it was such a crazy thing that I scored 3 goals in the game. So that's one that I will remember for sure.
To finish your career, you played for the Lacombe Generals. You guys won the championship all 3 years you played for them. How was your time playing for the Generals?
Well, the Generals, we won the last one. We won our league the whole time, and then the first 2 years I played, we lost in the national finals. And then my last year when we hosted the Allen Cup, we ended up winning that one. But the actual playing there was, I wasn't actually sure that I wanted to play, and even going there, I didn't really know, if I wanted to. But I'm really glad I did, because I made a lot of friends that hopefully will have for a long time, and I had so much fun with those guys because everyone, everybody was there just because they wanted to go keep playing hockey and keep playing competitive, and we had great owners, and the coaches and our GM there were all awesome, and I'm still friends with all those guys, and being able to win another couple national titles was great, and at that point it was more about having that team atmosphere and the camaraderie, and I know you play hockey, so you know how it is, and you're in the room with all your buddies hanging out, and making fun of each other and doing all that stuff, so that was fun to be able to get a couple more years out of.
Were you the captain?
Yeah, the last year I was captain. The year we won, I was captain.
So, do you miss playing competitive hockey?
Yeah, for sure. I miss playing hockey at all right now because of COVID. Obviously, the beer leagues are even shut down. But I miss competitive hockey. Like you've got a lot of hockey in front of you, and it's something that I did for a long, long time, and I really love to do. But yeah, it's you can't do it forever. But I definitely have a lot of great memories and a lot of great friends I made while I was doing it. So I'm very fortunate that way.
So how old were you when you moved out? Were you nervous moving out and staying with Billets?
Yeah, big time. I moved out when I was 16, or maybe it was 17, maybe 17. I moved because I was living in Camrose, and I was drafted by the Seattle Thunderbirds in the Western Hockey League, so I moved to Seattle. So I moved from Camrose, which is like 15,000 people, to Seattle, which is, who knows how big Seattle is. It's a massive city in the States, right? There was a bit of culture shock and being away from home for the first time, and that was before FaceTime. That was before I didn't have a cell phone, right? So like there was, for sure I was nervous. Luckily I had pretty good billets, and then I got traded the next year to Kootenay, and there I had awesome billets, and I still talk to those billets a little bit. That was a lot better for me because it was Cranbrook. The team was really good. The city was awesome. But yeah, it was definitely nervous, and most guys are like that. You move into a billet's house, you know these people, and now you're going to live with them for the next 8 or 9 months. But usually the people that are billets are really nice and friendly. And but no, to answer your question, no, I was definitely nervous, and I was 17, and yes, I was very nervous to move into this house.
Are you watching the Canada game?
We're going to try to, yeah. Like I said, my daughter's got some more school to do, and then we got a 1-year-old. So if they permit it, I'm going to watch it. Yeah, hopefully Canada can get it done tonight.
Yeah.
I honestly think they will. But are you guys watching it?
Yeah.
You get on any of the fan screens there when they show the fans after a goal? Are you on any of those?
No.
No.
I haven't been on them yet.
Yeah.
So, and lastly, do you have any advice that you could give myself or any other players for their hockey career?
Yeah. I always train pretty hard, and I know that you're obviously doing lots of stuff to try and make yourself a better player. What I would say is that if you want to play hockey, for a long time, and hopefully maybe play professional, play for a living, play in the NHL, just you have to commit to it. You can't kind of be in and then still want to be out, partying and doing all the rest of it. Like if you want to do it, man, it's hard. It is a hard league to get into, and it's hard to do and hard to stay in. So don't be afraid of committing and working hard, because there'll be lots of time for everything else when you're playing and after. So my biggest piece of advice would be, don't be afraid to kind of commit and to go all in on it if that's something that you want.
Enjoy the grind.
Yeah, you got it, exactly. Enjoy it. Enjoy the grind. Yep.
Yeah.
You got to figure it out.
So great advice. So I want to thank you very much for taking this time and and joining me on Enjoy the Grind. This was awesome to hear your stories. So, hope you had a great hockey career, and I wish you all the best in your life after hockey. Thanks again, Brennan.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for having me, man.
So, for those watching, please like and subscribe. So, thanks.
Yeah, okay, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Are you calling back? You're going to call back? Or how'd that go?
Yeah, just wait. Yeah.